The Screened Visions Movie Blog Podcast is a proud member of the OtaKast Radio Network. Straight from the blog, out there in Dallas, Texas. www.svmovieblog.net. You're listening to the Screened Visions Movie Blog Podcast with Desmond Childs. The Marathon Man is back and better than ever.
What's going on, good people? Screen Visions Radio. I'm Desmond Childs. After the NCAA Hoops tournament has come to a close, what a fantastic game. Fans of basketball should have just been going crazy at Louisville. Man, those are some fighters right there. Hats off to Michigan. Great game, guys. Great game. But hold on a second. This isn't a sports podcast. We're talking about movies. Today we're getting into Tyler Perry, getting into a little house hunting. 2 reviews for you today. Going to be starting off with Tyler Perry, the one that I sort of marketed. House Hunting, indie sort of psychological horror film. We'll get into that into the latter half of the show. Real quick, guys, live broadcasts on blogtalkradio.com/OtaKast are 30 minutes long. So if you are wondering why the show is talking about 2 different reviews and you're only getting, maybe 1.5, that's why, because on-air broadcast live is only 30 minutes. If you want to hear the whole show, you have to go to blogtalkradio.com/OtaKast and download the episode from there. We're also on iTunes. Go to the iTunes music store. In the search box, type in Screen Visions Movie Blog and subscribe to us. I'd appreciate that. Oh, by the way, there are also 2 SV Movie Blog feeds. Go to the one that is OtaKast Radio Network. All right, not the individual SV Movie Blog feed. I'm back over to the OtaKast network feed, and so there you go. That's all you need to know. All right, so we also got the box office breakdown in addition to the Tyler Perry's Good Deeds and House Hunting, and all that's coming up after the quick break. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Coming up next, we've got Good Deeds, Tyler Perry movie. Really my first sort of foray into the whole Tyler Perry thing. I know it's been 10 years after I probably should have, but whatever. And I'll tell you guys what I think after the break. See you in a sec. Tyler Perry is a man who is afraid of his own mother, looks after his brother, who obviously has anger issues, and is the CEO of his company, a company he doesn't want to be CEO of, apparently. But he won't ever tell you that. To him, everything is just fine.
My name is Wesley Deeds III. I grew up 5th generation Ivy League graduate, groomed by my father to be a businessman, groomed by my mother to be a gentleman. I was told what I would be doing for the rest of my life. My life is perfect.
Where did you go?
No. What kind of mother would leave her kid in the closet?
Oh, we don't have family. We live in the real world.
And I don't?
Tell me how much the gallon of milk costs. You don't even know.
Let me help you. It's one of our corporate apartments. You can live here as long as you need to.
This business wasn't even your dream.
You need to go and find what makes you really happy, because you have a good heart.
Good Deeds. Rated PG-13. In theaters February 24th.
We get to see Tyler Perry's Wesley Deeds live his stable, boring life as a successful businessman. He's engaged to be married to Gabrielle Union, nice job Wes, and seems to have a bright future of the same boring life except with a wife and kids. However, Thandie Newton's wonderfully acted Lindsay inadvertently shuffles his deck, so to speak. Now, Lindsay is a widow with a little girl and she has money problems. Her job as a late night janitor isn't paying, the rent and providing for her and her daughter, and the hard consequences start to take their toll on Lindsay and her kid. So, actually, Wesley and Lindsay don't meet under the best circumstances, as Lindsay actually argues with Wes's brother, the one with anger issues, and she calls Wesley an ass because he was initially going to have her car towed. Of course he doesn't because he's a gentleman, but whatever, we'll get to that in a minute. At this early part of the movie, I feel as if Tyler Perry begins to shift into this fairy tale like everything is probably going to work out for the better, spiel he does. Perry wants us to believe Deeds is a very nice, understated, caring individual. Fine. He has a boring life and wants to inject some flavor into his life. Okay? However, this notion that some rich CEO guy is going to go out of his way to essentially rescue a woman down on her luck is very hard for me to swallow, at least. Well, at least based on what the film tells us about Wesley Deeds. He is raised by the mom on The Cosby Show, Felicia Rashad, I think that's how you say her name, to be a very smart, respectable businessman. Now, Perry even says so in his opening monologue of the movie. He's never really able to do what he wants and submits to the will of his mother. He's actually pretty quiet and generally uninteresting. Makes me wonder how he's engaged to Gabrielle Union, who seems to be typecast as playing that character she always plays in everything she's ever been in. My point is, why should we believe Deeds is going to rescue Lindsay? Lindsay is a strong, hardy, and at many times in this picture, rude, defensive, and brutally honest. To Tyler Perry's credit, Thandie Newton was easily the best part of this movie. Watching her descend into hell desperately clutching her daughter was heartaching at times. But living in this world that we do, with independent success stories and very public failures, why should I believe that a millionaire is going to rescue financially and romantically a late night janitor? The weirdest thing about all this is I actually dug this movie. Weird, right? I don't know, guys. What do you think? OtaKastRadio@gmail.com. Send me your questions, comments, and concerns. I was reading up on some of the comments about the film, and a lot of the concerns and some of the critiques about it were the same as mine. It's just, what type of message is Tyler Perry going for here? Or is he just trying to tell a story? Generally, stories themselves have a message whether you want them to or not. And one of the messages that seems to have been plucked from Good Deeds is the fact that women, basically women, I should watch my words here, all right? I'm already sweating. Women who are not financially where they would like to be, or not necessarily just money-wise, just in general where they want to be in life, should hopefully accept the good graces of some rich guy, because he's definitely going to come sweep you off your feet. All you have to do is keep pressing along, keep working as hard as you can, and your miracle is going to drop. I'm not saying the message is wrong. I'm not saying the message is right. I'm just here to facilitate this discussion. Now, given just that particular message that this particular person pulled from the movie, what do you think? Now, I guess the question, women waiting for their miracle, or anybody waiting for their miracle, is you just keep on pressing, keep on fighting, never giving up. Sooner or later, your miracle is going to come. Is that the message? Now, this particular person seems to think so. Now, my message, or at least the message I got from this film, was similar in a sense that this guy Deeds, we're supposed to believe that he's this caring, nice guy, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to help the people around him, basically. You know what I mean? Like, within his power, he's willing to turn around and help somebody who's in as bad a financial situation as you can be in. Spoilers alert. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This lady is really close to losing her kid. All right. And he's willing to put her up in an apartment. The trailer says as much, and allows her to get her kid back. So I'm just like, Now, is he just personally, I just think he's telling the story. I do. And the only reason I'm commenting so much about this film more than I usually do with my reviews is because people were like, go see Mr. Deeds or whatever, and it'll show you why Tyler Perry movies are annoying. And I also get the other side where go watch Deeds, go watch some of the Tyler Perry movies. You'll understand why we like them so much. And I can kind of see both sides. And like I said, the movie itself was entertaining, I guess. But I just thought the whole notion that some rich guy was going to take care of this random janitor was sort of silly. And I feel like in reality, I don't know if they would even notice each other. And the ways that they meet in the film, he just happens to be working late that night, which I'm sure he's been doing for years. But all of a sudden, she just so happens to have, walked into his room while he was working or whatever. And I guess the fact that he recognized her as the woman that called him an ass outside in the parking garage, it made that whole meeting, which, that general meeting at night while she's cleaning up his office, more meaningful. But it's just like, okay, but I don't know. It was just hard to swallow if you want to get deep on me with how impactful this movie was, which I don't think it was. I just think it was Tyler Perry telling a story, and a fairy tale one at that. So there you go. That is Deeds, Tyler Perry's Deeds. Great acting from Thandie Newton. Not so much for Gabrielle Union. And Tyler Perry himself did a pretty solid job as the lead, Wesley Deeds. You can catch that on Netflix. I'm sure it's on the shelf somewhere. All right, coming up after the break, we got the box office breakdown. Remember, later on in the show, House Hunting, the indie psychological thriller, or is it a horror film? Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Back in a second. Screen Vision Radio.
From the blog out there in Dallas, Texas, it's Screen Divisions Radio coming at ya.
Welcome back to Screen Visions Radio Box Office Breakdown. It's Movies.com's Box Office Breakdown, always by Movies.com. Get your movie times, reviews, trailers, anything you want, DVD releases, as well as Blu-ray at Movies.com. Simple, right? All right, so the top 10 box office, the way it's looking right now, guys. What does it say about America? Evil Dead, the remake, or the reboot, or whatever you want to call it, at number 1, 25.7 million at number 1. Number 2, G.I. Joe Retaliation, 20.8. That is a $4.9 million difference for those of you keeping track at home. The Croods at number 3 with 20.6 million. Jurassic Park 3D at number 4, 18.6. Number 5 is Olympus Has Fallen at 10.1. Tyler Perry's Temptation, another Tyler Perry movie, 10 million at number 6. Oz the Great and Powerful at number 7 with 8 million. The Host still hanging around at 5.2 for number 8. The Call is 3.5 million at number 9. And Admission making nearly 2 million, 1.9, rounding out the top 10. All right, so the things you guys can look forward to in the movie theater right now, starting this Friday, you've got Jackie Robinson's 42. The movie's called 42. It's PG-13, coming out on Friday, as well as Scary Movie 5 and Disconnect, also coming out this Friday. And you've got something called Into the White making its debut on Friday as well. So coming soon to a theater near us, I suppose. You've got Tom Cruise in Oblivion, April 19th. Pain and Gain, April 26th. That's The Rock and Mark Wahlberg. The Big Wedding. Saw a trailer for that. Looked interesting. Robin Williams is playing a priest again. How many times has he done that? You've also got Mud, April 26th. That's coming out. And Arthur Newman, April 26th. Iron Man 3, May 3rd. The Great Gatsby, May 10th. And Star Trek Into the Darkness, May 17th. Pretty action-packed end of the April month there. Epic, May 24th. And hold on a second. Now, was I saying that correctly? Excuse me. I meant May, end of the May, or beginning of May, I should say. First couple of weeks are going to be action-packed. Now, Epic is May 24th. Fast and Furious 6 is May 24th as well, along with The Hangover Part 3. And Now You See Me is May 31st. Now, I want to make a correction. And it's a little one, but it bothered me when I heard it. We were talking about actors and actresses that can make an impact in the next 10, 15 years down the road, because the talent pool, in my opinion, seems to be shrinking ever so slightly. And it's probably not the case. I just don't know enough about Hollywood's actors and actresses right now. But I made a comment that people hate on Tom Hanks, so much so, but they still watch his movies. I meant to say Tom Cruise. Tom Hanks is another good actor that you could put in your list in terms of people who could make an impact. Although the dude is pretty old now, he's already made quite a bit impact on movies, and he's got his own thing going on, internet, shows and that sort of thing. Tom Hanks is awesome. Tom Hanks. Anyway, I meant Tom Cruise. That Tom Cruise is weird. Did you see that new Mission Impossible though? That's my boy. Anyway. New to DVD and Blu-ray. These are the things you can get on the shelves now. Now, you've got Hyde Park on Hudson. That's April 9th. Along with Late Bloomers, April 9th. The Sorcerer and the White Snake. Ooh, that's one I got to kick up. I got to pick that one up right there. You've got Bad Kids Go to Hell. Interesting. The Baytown Outlaws. The Sweeney, LUV, Love. I want to check that one out. And then John Dies at the End. How's that? You've also got stuff that's been on the shelves for a while now. Lincoln, Parental Guidance, Killing Them Softly, and A Royal Affair. All those are on your shelves wherever you go get your DVDs and Blu-rays. Hop to it. Go get you something to watch, guys. Date night, you know what I mean? Do something like that. Go treat yourself. All right, so that's your box office breakdown. Now, coming up after the break, we got an indie movie for you guys by director Eric Hurt. And it's about, well, we'll get to that after the break. This is Screen Visions Radio. I'm Desmond Childs, and don't forget, guys, the website is svmovieblog.wordpress.com. All right, back in a second. House hunting. It can be a stressful time in your life, you know? You're moving, not just to a different area code, but onto a new phase of life, you know? You're uprooting, shifting out of your comfort zone, and hopefully the alien destination becomes home sweet home, right? Well, if you believe in all that, I got some choice land out in the woods I want to sell you. Gonna have to grow your own garden though, okay? Soil is nice and fertile, you know. Listen, I'll give it to you, but I gotta tell you, it's first come, first serve. And once you get here, I promise you won't be able to leave.
I went into a house, and it wasn't a house. It has big steps and a great big hall, but it hasn't got a garden. A garden, a garden. It isn't like a house at all.
Hello?
This is more like it.
I take it you're not the realtor.
No.
Door was wide open.
You turn around.
I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for this.
Does this seem reasonable to you?
I just want to get out of here, okay?
We must have turned around, right?
I didn't turn around.
Someone's bound to show up in the morning.
We tried to leave 23 times.
If this thing only wants one of our families, then understand this. It won't be us.
Do not make me angry.
Not a single one in this house.
I went into a house, and I thought it was a house. I could hear from the May tree the blackbird call, but nobody listened to it. Nobody liked it. Nobody wanted it at all.
House hunting was a valued experience for me. Why? Because it failed. The premise was intriguing. An almost purely psychological thriller with bits of ghost horror added in. This movie did fairly well with implied thrillers and chills, which kept me on edge in terms of my anticipation. An example of what I mean when I say implied thrills and chills, a bit of a tangent here, but watching a tightrope walker person balance his or her way all the way across would surely provoke a number of different thoughts and emotions, right? For starters, they could fall to their death and they'd have to be rushed to the meds, and a televised portion of the show would be pulled off the air, and the audience on the scene would panic and look on in horror, and that poor tightrope walker person's family is going to suffer a tough loss if he fell. I know I sometimes don't consider the more logical conclusions until after my dark, bitter imagination cools a bit, like how the tightroper walker, or is it tightropey, is a trained professional who's probably good enough at his or her profession not to die, or at least as easily as what I had dreamed up. Although the possibility of them perishing is real. Same thing with the characters in this movie. You know, something could happen that could really jack things up tone-wise, but a lot of the time, he just calmly finishes shaving his beard, or she notices the axe, but just walks back into the house. That sort of thing. The idea that hell is actually other people was the point this movie was trying to make. However, its attempt at creating examples or situations in which the two families in this movie clash are pretty weak. Wow, you brought up the fact that my daughter died in a tone that was something other than low-key and sympathetic. Jerk, you leered at my wife! These were some of the weaker examples. The stronger points, plot-wise, often felt tacked on in that, oh, wait a minute, you mean the polar bear you said you ran over was actually your next-door neighbor? Sort of thing. I'm not too worried about spoiling this particular indie film because it isn't particularly strong at any one thing it does. It does become more engaging after the first 15 minutes or so, as there are some strange things happening with editing and awkward acting. So let's put a bow on this messy, pulpy glob of media, shall we? And although I feel like I should have used that last line for a better, more gory picture, I'll give director Eric Hurt credit for at least framing a pretty intriguing form of the classic human fear of being stuck somewhere with people you can't stand. Ugh! Screen Visions Radio with yours truly, Johnny Dollar. I'm Desmond Childs, and House Hunting not really review, sort of something I would say go check out. You like indie horror films, give this one a whirl. I'm always a fan of the sort of Hell is Other People, because it's a very real, scary thing that can happen. It's very realistic in terms of all of us know 2 or 3 people that it's like, yeah, we can talk to them, we can interact with them, but oh my God, help us if we're stuck like in a elevator with these people for more than 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Some films that do it slightly better and still have that sort of supernatural element, I would go say watch, and I know people are going to shoot at me from all sides because of this, M. Night Shyamalan's Devil. It's more compelling in terms of the sci-fi, horror elements. It kind of mixes. Shyamalan and the crew do a better job of mixing, obviously at a bigger budget. The twist at the end isn't necessarily a good twist, not even for Shyamalan standards or just the rest of Hollywood standards in general, but I would recommend watching Devil before turning you over to House Hunting. Now, I think the biggest problem with that recommendation is that House Hunting is readily available on Netflix, whereas M. Night Shyamalan's Devil, I'm sure all copies have been thrown into his little locker of shame, where people, for some reason, beat him down for all of his movies not being the Sixth Sense sequels, or whatever movie they all thought he did well before he started sucking in their eyes. Anyway, I'm Desmond Child. This is Screen Visions Radio, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. I'm going to see if I have some music for you guys. Well, I've said it now, so yeah, there will be some music for you guys. Back in a second. Sit tight. Screen Visions Radio. I am Desmond Childs. Screen Visions is actually a website. You guys can go there, svmovieblog.wordpress.com. Working on getting some of these reviews up for you peoples so you can read some stuff as well as listen. Again, I'm on iTunes. Go to the iTunes music store, type in Screen Visions Radio or SV Movie Blog. Subscribe to the OtaKast Radio Network feed. That is the original feed that this show is featured on, not the standalone feed. I'm back to the OtaKast Radio feed, keeping the feed alive. Subscribe to it. I would appreciate it. Got some feedback, man. Got some feedback on what I was talking about last week. Some of the actors and actresses you guys think. This is what y'all think. It's kind of funny. Nah, I'm just playing. But this is what you guys, some of the comments anyway. This isn't like just a general opinion of what's going to happen. But some people had some opinions on who they thought would make an impact. You know what I mean? And Gilded Shepherd, Leo DiCaprio, is going to have an impact. He's already in our dreams, for Christ's sake. Excuse the language. That is what he wrote on Twitter. So, there's one. We've also, ironically, got something from Straight Out of Hampton about Thandie Newton being a great actress, and someone calling for me to do more research. Do more research, Neo, is verbatim what they said. So, ouch. And thank you for that. Thandie Newton, yes, was probably the brightest spot, or the only bright spot, depending on how I feel on that particular day, of that Good Deeds movie, Tyler Perry. So yeah, 2 interesting comments. Keep them coming. OtaKastRadio@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns for the mental health of your host are appreciated. All right, I'm going to give you guys a song, I guess, or a couple. Maybe I should play some more less anime-y stuff, you know? Music coming up. SV Radio. See ya.
Screened Visions Radio and an OtaKast Network affiliate. Games, movies, life. Hey kid, what inspires you?
中できてないな、まだ体が迷っているんだ。震えてたんじゃコントロールしちゃってブレンダー。太陽も月も何も完全にこっち向いていないが、やるしかないんだ、言い聞かせるようにそうつぶやいた。状況は悪いがただ逃げ出すんじゃ根性ないな。展望はないが度胸でクリアするしかないや。衝動は抑えたまんまターゲットとの感覚探れ。必要なもんは勝つプライドを味わうのは勝利のピースか、それとも敗北の不純か。そう全ては二つに一つ操りたい運命の糸。絶好のゴールデンタイムこの手で掴め。渾身のポーカーフェイス決めて仕掛けるよ。イリュージョンの世界へ引きずり込んで、際限ないプレッシャーゲームスルリと抜けて、栄光のボーダーライン飛び越えるために、はめにどれくらいの代償がいる。手放したくないのはどれ。より証拠なんだ、要は結果を出したもんが勝者だ。沈黙は金だ、口が過ぎればバレンだ。感覚を研ぎ澄まして慎重に流れを読み切れ。現状の勝率何%勝ち割るのは現実な現実。潜む影帽子は悪魔か。男ならば潔く散ってやるくらいの覚悟で挑め。逆境のクラックをヘッジ奮い立たせて、斬新なファイティングサイドギリギリを攻めろ。当てじゃ危ないぜ限界超えて、最高のフェアリーテール歴史に刻め。感傷の瞬間を見せつけるために I'm ready くぐもった迷いなど捨て、バベルの階段を上がれ。
Is it us? Or did online radio just get a bit more cultured? To find out more, log into www.OtaKastRadio.com. OtaKastRadio.com.